Welcome to part 17 of Woe to America. Woe to the nations and woe to Babylon. Babylon is scattered abroad. This is August the 11th, 2024 by man's calendar. And also what man says is the ninth of all. Anyways, I want to get back into this video.
Is the most radical governor. When Kamala was letting illegals pour in, Waltz was giving them driver's license and free tuition. Minnesota's a sanctuary state, and he wants to help make America a sanctuary country.
He talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory. That's not how you stop this.
Waltz let his best city burn down, flooded it with illegals, and helped cancel the state flag to make it look more like the flag of Somalia. How do we know this guy's crazy?
See that? The state's flag. Picked up your star of Moloch, have you? Amos 5, Acts 7. Y'all need to read this. This is right in your faces. This stuff is in your faces. This is idols. This is idol worship. You're putting this up on poles into the air to wave these banners up there in the air in God's face. Do you realize that? This is showing the Lord who your God is, who you choose to serve. Moloch and Rembrandt. Then you wonder why God's getting ready to destroy everybody.
Squad loves him. Omar, AOC, thrilled. Bernie, thrilled. The Democrat Socialists of America, thrilled. Offering up an over-the-top endorsement as if Waltz was Castro. Dylan's thrilled because Waltz turned Minnesota into a sanctuary state for sex change operations for children. No age limits.
We want every Minnesotan to grow up feeling safe, valued, protected, celebrated, and free to exist as their authentic versions of themselves. Protecting and supporting access to gender-affirming health care is essential to being a welcoming and supportive state to the community.
Walt signed a bill that removes a child from their parents' home if the parents don't want to castrate them. He's sick. Waltz forced schools to stock tampons in boys' bathrooms. Tampons in 4th grade boys' bathrooms. What a freak. What do boys need tampons for? This guy's not Minnesota nice, he's Minnesota nuts.
The phrase debased mind is...
Okay, I want to back that up for just a minute. I want to make sure you're understanding what's
into a sanctuary state for sex change operations for children. No age limits.
We want every Minnesotan to grow up feeling safe, valued, protected, celebrated, and free to exist as their authentic versions of themselves. Protecting and supporting access.
Free to exist as their authentic versions of themselves. That's not true, though. Because you don't want God's children to have freedom to exist as their authentic selves. You try to shut us up. Why? Because it makes you feel condemned. You're trying to get rid of us. Why? Because it makes you feel condemned. And it keeps you from being able to live in your sodomite sins so freely as you want to. And we're supposed to be living as what God created us to be, not what we want to be ourselves. So think about that.
To gender-affirming healthcare is essential to being a welcoming and supportive state to the community.
Walt signed a bill that removes a
Why?
child
Why
from
is
their
that?
parents' home if the parents don't want to castrate them. He's sick. Walt's forced schools to stock tampons.
So parents don't want to allow their children to have these surgeries, which is called parenting. Telling a child no is part of parenting. But you all don't want to tell children. No, you want to give them ice cream and a lollipop and tell them that everything's fine. They can do whatever they want to. You don't want to be the parent. You don't want to teach the truth of God, and you don't want to live according to the Word of God in front of them. How do I know this? Because if you had set that example before them, they would be living it. Because, see, Jesus set that example before us. And if you had set that example before your children, they wouldn't have strayed far from it. The Bible says so. Train up a child in the way it is to go. So whatever your child is doing, apparently at some point they saw you do it. Or you allowed them to be around other people that was doing it. Which is just as bad. Just as bad.
In boys' bathrooms. Tampons in 4th grade boys' bathrooms. What a freak. What do boys need tampons for? This guy's not Minnesota nice, he's Minnesota nuts.
The phrase debased mind is found in Romans 1:28 in reference to those whom God has rejected as godless and wicked. The Greek word translated debased is adokimos, which means unacceptable, that is, rejected, by implication, worthless. In Titus 1:16, the Apostle Paul refers to those whose works are debased. They profess to know God, but in works they deny him, being abominable, disobedient, and disqualified for every good work. People who are classified as having a debased mind have some knowledge of God and perhaps know of his commandments, but they live impure lives and have no desire to please God. Those who have debased minds live corrupt and...
This is where we're at. We're living in a world that wants to claim to be Christian and to know God, yet you don't. You're living in a corrupt life because you love not the truth. God is going to let you believe your little delusion that you're saved, and because you're not really seeking a deeper walk with him. The Lord is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. But don't forget, Satan will bless you too to make you believe you're being blessed by God. Because if you're not living according to this word, God is not going to bless you. I'm just going to state straight out the facts. Why? Because he don't know you. Do you go up and down the street giving out blessings and stuff to strangers you don't know, to little children that ain't yours to raise? Do you go and buy them all that they need, the clothes and shoes and all that? Yes, I know some people try to help look out for the little children that don't have, and you try to do stuff like that. But I'm trying to make a point here. You don't go to every house and write down their children's stuff and then go buy this stuff for that child and then bring it back and give it to them. Well, God doesn't do that either. He's not going to go into a stranger's house. He wants to go into them that know him. But no, y'all want this craziness.
But he who is spiritual judges all things, yet he himself is rightly judged by no one. For who has known the mind of the Lord, that he may instruct him? But we have the mind of Christ.
Minnesota lockdowns were worse than California's. Not only did he keep schools and churches locked down, but he set up a hotline so your neighbors could snitch on you for leaving your house without a mask. He probably learned this from China, where he visited 30 times. Weird, right? I'm sure he paid for all those trips himself on a teacher's salary. Walt spent his honeymoon in China. He's being groomed by the Chinese. Now, if I was the FBI, I'd do a background check, just to be safe. He loves China just as much as Biden. 3 months before Biden detonated himself at the debate, Waltz was full steam ahead on the cover-up, said Biden was fresher than ever.
I think this week watching, some of the media colleagues look at this, a new Joe Biden. No, it's not. It's the same competent Joe Biden that's been delivering for us. Governors understand that because we have to do it every single day.
Waltz has a lot of common in Paulie P. Remember Paulie? He T-boned a seasonal worker, then handed the highway patrol a donor card. Waltz was caught drunk driving, 96 and a 55. Claimed he wasn't actually drunk. He was just deaf from serving in the military. But he actually blew a .12. Waltz served in the National Guard until his unit was deployed to Iraq, and then he abandoned them.
Back in 2005, a warning order went out to the 1st Battalion 125th Field Artillery to mobilize for a mission to Iraq. At the time, Walls served as the unit's highest non-commissioned officer, but months later, Walls would retire from the Guard, avoid the deployment, and run for Congress.
The public needs to know how pathetic his leadership was as a National Guardsman. He abandoned us, what the hell kind of leader does that? He just, as soon as the shots were fired in Iraq, he turned and ran the other way and hung his hat up and quit.
When soldiers, police, and families needed Waltz the most, he walked away. This is a trick pick. Democrats think they can trick you with an old white guy from the Midwest. But he's a freak in sheep's clothing. Democrats can't be honest about who they are. They have to lie to you and hide their positions.
Last year, as inflation was crushing Minnesota families, this was Tim's priority.
We want every Minnesotan to grow up feeling safe, valued, protected, celebrated, and free to exist as their authentic versions of themselves. Protecting and supporting access to gender-affirming health care is essential to being a welcoming and supportive state to the community.
I have people in my DMs who are saying, you better do this because we're moving already to Minnesota because we don't know where to go.
Yes, Kamala Harris's running mate believes kids who are too young to get a drink at a bar are mature enough to have their genitals mutilated by a twisted surgeon. But as they're calling him, Tampon Tim insists that the real evil exists in other states that ban the barbarism.
Students who are understanding are trying to understand who they are as their gender identity is being developed. They are most at risk. We're there to protect children. We're there to have you understand that in Minnesota you're going to be protected. Protecting and supporting access to gender-affirming health care is essential. We know this urgency is real, thus the need of an executive order today.
God gives a dire warning to anyone who would cause a child to sin, as we read in Matthew 18:6 and 7. But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe to the world because of offenses, for offenses must come, but woe to that man by whom the offense comes.
Remember, if the squad is happy and they are ecstatic that Waltz is the choice, you should grab your children and watch your wallet. Because if Harris and he end up in power, you're going to need to do a lot more to protect both. Because for Governor Walz, being a socialist just means being a good neighbor.
Don't ever shy away from our progressive values. One person's socialism is another person's neighborliness. Just do the damn work.
Was socialism taught in the Bible?
I apologize for the language. I never know when it's going to pop in there. These people have rude, vulgar mouths. They have rude, vulgar actions. This is what you want to lead you. Into the kingdom of heaven. They can't lead you to the kingdom of heaven. They can't even lead you to the water trough and let you eat like a pig from the trough. Because they too busy trying to take it all for themselves. Time for y'all to wake up. See you in the next part. As soon as I get a chance to do another part. Because I got to get some rest for work. And I will see you then. Lord's will, hopefully I'll get to do a couple parts in the morning.